Hi, I'm Malcolm, avid Bloodline viewer and interviewer. If you told me what happened on SmackDown, what was gonna happen, I would have never expected it. Well, I would have, but I wouldn't have expected it the way that it happened. And that's Jay and Jimmy coming back together once again as the Usos. I'm gonna break down what happened, what can happen next, and I'm gonna answer an important question: if the Usos should remain a full-time tag team now that they're back together. Hit that like button and subscribe if you acknowledge Solo Sikoa, or if you don't. Just hit the button anyway, please. So on SmackDown, the Motor City Machine Guns, which is a crazy sentence to say in general that they are part of WWE and on SmackDown, they had an opportunity to become the #1 contenders for the tag team titles against DIY. Now it looks like DIY might be breaking up soon, and that's gonna be sad, but the feud finna cook and it'll be okay. But they end up getting the win, and the Bloodline came out afterwards to Solo with all the personality in the world. That is my tribal chief, for sure.
Any place, anytime. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Offering them a tag team championship match that night if they wanted it. Nick Aldis told him that after 20 years of work, they just weren't going to take that tag team title shot that night. They were going to rest up and be ready for it. But then Alex Shelley said, nah, Nicholas, we ready for this. We want the smoke, my boy. Motor City Machine Guns versus the Bloodline versus the Tongans versus the Gorillas of Destiny. I don't know if they have an actual tag team name yet, because when the Usos were tag team champions and also part of the Bloodline, they weren't called the Bloodline. They were called the Usos, members of the Bloodline. It doesn't matter. Whatever the infamous Tonga Loa does, we shall watch. So it was main event time. Tag team championships. 20 years in the making, Motor City Machine Guns challenging for a WWE title versus the Gorillas of Destiny's a New Japan based tag team versus the TNA based tag team. New Japan versus TNA and WWE. Just too many letters to keep up with, brother. Of course, during the match, our tribal chief OTC, Solo Sikoa, would try to get involved, and Jimmy Uso would come out and try to make the save for the Motor City Machine Guns. Crazy to say. He was really fighting for them. He might have just been fighting for just the fact that he hates the Bloodline, which is totally justified. So eventually Jacob came out in that fire shirt. Fake tribal chief Roman Reigns came out. He fought off Jacob, Jimmy fought off Solo, and it looked like the Tongans were gonna get the win. And then who comes out? Another hooded figure with a super kick. Who could that be? Because we already saw Jimmy, and they hit a spear. I'm like, well, that's not Roman. Oh. Eat. It was Jey Uso. The same way the Bloodline costed him the Intercontinental Championship on Raw, he cost them the WWE Tag Team Championships on SmackDown. And then after the match, we got what I wasn't expecting this week. I was kind of expecting it was going to happen eventually, but not so soon, and I'm happy by it. I have no complaints of how they got to this point. They get closer to each other, and then they hug it out. What is happening? Now you can say, why did Jay embrace his brother? He's cost him the Intercontinental Championship. They had a feud going into WrestleMania. There's reasons for Jay to legitimately not like Jimmy, but the fact of the matter is they are twins and they are brothers. And sometimes when you have arguments with your family, it doesn't matter what kind of trials and tribulations you went through. You are family at the end of the day, and that will always rule over any dispute. And I think that's what happened here. Maybe I'm reading too far into it, but that's what I got out of the segment. And who was looking on while all that was happening? Only Roman Reigns. The last time these two embraced, they were at Money in the Bank in 2023. They just pinned Roman Reigns in that tag team Bloodline Civil War match. And the next time they're embracing is on SmackDown, and Roman Reigns is watching over them. And now I know there's SmackDown spoilers out there. I saw them, unfortunately. I'm not going to say what happened, but the only thing I'm going to say about it is they're going to cook next week. It's going to be good. You know, if you saw it, you saw it. It sucks. I know it does. It stinks. But oh well. So that's what happened. So what's next? So we still have Crown Jewel coming up before Survivor Series. We all know we're working towards that Bloodline War Games match, probably a 4-on-4, OG Bloodline versus Solo's Bloodline, the real Bloodline. But what's a step that we can take to get there? Now, I personally think we get Solo and Jacob or the Tongans versus the Usos at Crown Jewel. Now, personally, the Tongans would make the most sense because obviously they just cost them the tag team titles, but there's reasons for Solo. There's reasons for Jacob, and that's what makes this exciting to watch. In my opinion, the Crown Jewel match has to be the Tongans versus the Usos or Solo and Jacob versus the Usos. One or the other has to happen. You also could run Jacob and Jay, but I don't think that's the time for it yet. And then after Crown Jewel, we'll keep going from there. But let's talk about the big question that I said earlier. Should the Usos become a full-time tag team again, or will this be a short run for the team? Everyone online is saying that they should probably stick back together. Like, they should be a full-time tag team. They should stick together because there's no reason why they should have broken apart in the first place. That's fair. During that time span, Jey Uso has become such a massive single star. Massive. Did we see France, the crowd? The way Jey has brought himself to the crowd, the way he has served himself to the people is something that he just can't do in a tag team. Maybe he can. I mean, that's his twin brother. Obviously, Jimmy has the same qualities as Jay, not just because they're twins, but they're brothers, they're family. They have similar personality traits. But the way Jay is connected, it just, to me, it seems like a disservice to all the goodwill they built up through Jey Uso's single run to just stick him back in the tag team. I personally think they should not get back together for a full-time run. I think for now, a short feud going into War Games, yes. But after that, I feel like that's it. Not because, no, Jay's such a bigger star than Jimmy. It's just so much more to work on with Jay. He does feel like someone that could be a world heavyweight champion. Right now, Jimmy doesn't, and he could be. But we haven't seen that real singles run out of Jimmy yet. Now, maybe we will, and I think it should happen. And we'll talk about that more in a second. Me personally, meeting Jay in Atlanta and seeing that line of people, 800 plus people were there to meet Jey Uso. I watched kids cry. I watched grown men like just grin with excitement that women are crying and falling in love. Like the reaction to Jey Uso was so crazy. It felt like Jeff Hardy in 2008. Just a wrestler that connects so well with every demographic of people that like professional wrestling, or maybe just like entertainment in general, or just sports in general. I don't think putting him back in a tag team, even if it is with his twin brother, is the best move for Jay. And I could be completely wrong, but that's just my opinion. Now, I want to know yours in the comments down below. What happens with Jimmy Uso? Does he get his own singles run? I'm going to ask that question in the comments, and I want you guys to respond to it if you could. If the Usos don't get back together, what does a singles run look like for Jimmy Uso? Because he deserves an opportunity. That dude's funny. I know you all seen that compilation floating around the internet. He's a funny dude. Yes, obviously they work well as a tag team, but I just feel like what Jay has done so far is not the end of his story to just go back into a tag team. That's my opinion. I want to know yours in the comments down below, though. I'm going to leave the questions down there. Please respond. Let's get a little chatter going in the comments. And I'm going to bring more Bloodline-related videos to this channel. I want to talk more about it. Yes, we're going to build out a background so it's not just a white wall all the time, because the Bloodline story is now in the new inning. This is the 5th, right? The World Series time. I don't know anything about baseball. Go Yankees. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Bye.